if we got back to the farms, like now they are quite pushing in Botswana, the natural farming, we would actually have healthier people. Farming with less fertilizers and more organic. We've got cows and chickens that we could use the manure for to grow our own vegetables and actually have healthier food. It's all the body knows. The reason we are as sick as we are as society with our diabetes and hypertension and Alzheimer's and you name it, the list goes forever, is because we're not eating properly and because we're putting junk into our systems. And that comes with the medications we're taking, with the vaccines that are flying around, and it is having a negative effect on our bodies.
Welcome to Moving Humanity Forward podcast. My name is Kathy Malejane. I wear so many different hats. I like to tell people that I'm the village girl from Ramotswa, hashtag curious cat. But you know what? The latest one is hashtag Catherine with no E before the R, because I like to tell stories. And today I think the story we're going to tell might just change your life. But before we get into that conversation, I want to send a huge shout out to Dikukame Hotel out in Tsabong. They hosted us a couple of weeks ago. We're very grateful. Thank you. Shout out to you. And that's it. Let's get straight into the conversation with somebody who's been practicing kinesiology for 31 years. She didn't want any other introduction except to say that she practices and is somebody who does kinesiology. She goes by the name Dawn Green. A very good afternoon to you, Dawn, and welcome to Moving Humanity Forward podcast.
Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for the lovely welcome. And yes, we're looking forward to having a wonderful time together.
Definitely. Let's start off always, Dawn, with the definitions, just so we can understand what is kinesiology. What are we talking about when we say we're doing kinesiology?
Okay, kinesiology is a alternate healing practice. We work with the muscle testing or muscle monitoring, which is then giving us direct access to the human and how the human has put life together.
Okay.
So yes, in moving humanity forward, we are then able to find out what's holding you back so that you can move forward. When we talk about muscle monitoring, it's based on a very simple principle of whatever you respond positively to, your muscles will tense. Whatever you respond negatively to, your muscles would relax. By that, I am able to pick up what the response is. Why are you presenting symptoms or blockages or challenges that you are presenting? What do you need to actually help you move beyond those? And then we do that as corrections to the body, and the body takes that information and heals itself.
Okay, wait. So you're saying when the muscles, when there's a positive response, your muscle
would tighten.
Would tighten.
It's like when you say to a kid, we're taking you to Disneyland. Yes.
They get excited. Okay,
yes.
Yes, that's
if
tight.
we say to them we've lost the tickets, it's no.
Okay.
So in a naturally balanced with a neurologically balanced body, you would find that would be the reaction or the neurological reaction to the external input. So from there, we would then, as our protocol, first check that you are neurologically balanced. Because if I said to you now you've won 1 million pula, you'd say, why? How's that possible? Because you've built up a defense system. You know more in your naturally neurologically balanced state. So I would put your body first into a balanced state neurologically and then proceed with work.
So just to close off the definition of kinesiology, does it have anything to do with, because kinesiology seems related to like kinetic energy, do they have something in common?
Absolutely. That's where the response comes in. So it's the body's ability to move, which is what kinetic energy is. So the natural neurology of the body is it will move tight if it's positive and it will move weak if it's negative. So that's where the word actually comes from. Kinesiology is a fairly new modality, having come to life in 1964 when I was born.
Okay.
So there's
What
one
are the
attachment
chances?
to it.
Yep.
There are so many different variations of kinesiology. There's something like 32 different fields.
Okay. So I want you to just share a little bit of your story, because I think the way you first encountered kinesiology is something that the viewer will definitely want to know about, and also because that's kind of what made you become a practicing kinesiologist.
Yes, very important. My daughter was at school up to grade 4, where they had been continually from grade 1 wanting for her to repeat. And we then started doing the whole thing of psychology, occupational health, speech therapy.
Why were they wanting her to repeat? What was going on? She wasn't doing well in class?
Yes, well, that's what they said. She's not doing well in
Were
class.
you picking anything up for yourself? That
No, because at home she performed absolutely well.
Okay, so you're just hearing from the teachers?
From the teacher that she's not doing well, which was a bit like kind of swooped me off my feet.
Yeah.
So after having sessions with the psychologist, where they then said there's nothing wrong with your kid, we then took her to all the others, took her for karate and anything that we thought would build her confidence, because we thought it was a self-confidence problem. Only to get to kinesiology at the end of grade 4, where the kinesiologist could only see her at the first week in January. She had her first session, which was picked up that she had put too much effort into trying to please the family. And because, more importantly, mom-in-law wanted a little boy to carry on the family name, and she was a little girl. So her self-confidence, her self-esteem just disappeared.
How did she know that mom-in-law wanted a boy?
She heard that because every time I walked into the house, mom-in-law would say, "Oh, I've got a steak made for my grandson." Or, "What can I do for my grandson today?"
Oh, wait, when she was born or?
When she was in utero, 6 months in utero, it started. And that's what the kinesiologist picked up. So while I was pregnant with her, this was put forward.
So a child can hear well before they're born. As long as that child is conceived, they can pick up on emotions and are actually hearing. So she was hearing grandmom-in-law say, my grandson. And so she sort of knew that, and then she overcompensated to try and people please, to try and...
Yes. So it pushed her self-esteem. The strange thing was, from the day she started wearing dresses, she would want to take them off. So if she had a pants on, she was fine. And then she was the best tomboy. Climbed the roofs, climbed burglar gates, climbed the trees, went fishing. She always wanted to be the little boy, but it didn't click in my head at that time. I kind of thought she's just being a child. And so the second session, we then picked up that she had been born with a lazy eye, which when I mentioned it to the doctor said, "Oh, it's fine, she'll outgrow that." And she did, because the eye then did settle. But what that did was, with the schooling system where we read from the left side of the page to the right side of the page, it was her right eye that was lazy. So when it came to time to pick up from the middle of the page, she would then, the left eye wouldn't want to relinquish control, because it felt it was stronger than the right eye. So that would make the interpretation of what she was reading like off balance. She couldn't adjust to what was actually going on. So that was also corrected. And by the end of the first term, the teacher actually sent her to wait for me at the gate to tell me to please come in. She needed to see me because they couldn't believe the difference in that term, because she had a first session the first week in January and the second session the second week, the last week of January. And so by that end of that term, they had noticed such a vast difference in her. They didn't know how that could have happened. So I then explained to them that I had taken her to a kinesiologist, and because of that, I just felt I needed to study, that I could find help for other kids, because in the time where she was having a problem, I was spending more time out of the house than in the house because we had to be taking her around. And I met lots of people with similar issues. So I thought if I study this, I'd be able to help those people.
I love that. And I think I want to just close off this part of the conversation with speaking a little to how exactly it works. You said it works with muscle memory. So what exactly do you do? Are you going to sit here and feel my muscles? Do you touch the muscles? How does that actually work?
Okay, more that I would use one of the easier muscles. With kids, I normally use the leg muscle because it's easier to keep them on the bed. With adults, I tend to use the hand muscle. So it would be literally feeling for a tight muscle or a weak muscle. So if I asked myself now, is your name Dawn? My muscle's locked. Is my name Kathy? Muscle went down straight away. So that's how we would use the muscle response. But also that yes, the memory is in the muscle. It's also in the mind because your body has full record of everything that has happened to you from point of conception. And some people...
point of conception. So even in, what do you say?
In utero.
Yes.
And it could even go further back. There are studies and people do believe that even whatever your mom experienced would come through to you. So they call that generational memory. So sometimes you actually have this feeling and you think, oh, this would be what my mom would have done. But it's because mom did that before.
All right. So we've broken a little bit about what kinesiology is and how it works. I think at this point, I want us to get into a little bit of what we need to do to take care of ourselves, because this is the festive season, Dawn, and it gets wild. We want to party, we want to go home, we want to see friends. The year is ending. There's just a whole lot going on. And I'm so convinced that sometimes we need a holiday from the holiday.
Yes.
Because we go and just there's no rest anyway. So what are some of the things we need to do? What should we be mindful of as we go into this festive season?
The first one, and I don't think I can stress it enough, is drink water from all levels. Whether you're just excited, when you are excited, your muscles are tensing, so your body dehydrates. The heat out in Botswana is just something else at the moment as well. So water, water, water. Also to make sure that you drink water at a room temperature, because the minute you drink cold water, the body goes into a shock state if it's iced water. And likewise, if it is boiled water and warm, the body starts a digestive process. So to actually quench the thirst and to actually do what water needs to do in your body, it needs to be room temperature. Okay. The second thing I keep saying to people is become your own best friend. Because you're going to find now, especially over the festive, people are going to be putting demands on you where they want you to come when they want you to come, to go when they want you to go. And sometimes your body is just feeling it needs to relax. So in being your own best friend, you'd be able to say, hey, sorry, guys, I can't do this today. Or I just need to rest. So you are then listening to yourself and being in tune with what it is your body actually needs. Particularly, and I find this more and more with people who want to do the whole out partying kind of thing, when you don't feel like going to a party, more than likely something is going to go wrong because you're already going in with that negative energy. So you're going to create something to make you feel that I shouldn't have come here.
You're going to prove yourself right.
Yes. So rather be honest with yourself. Be that good friend to yourself that says, sorry, I'm not going to take part in this today.
I like that. So wake up and make sure you're drinking enough water. Make sure you are getting enough rest. Be kind to yourself. So whatever your body, listen to your body and try to do that.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other tips in terms of, should we be getting exercise? What about breathing? What tips can you give us about the food that we're eating?
Well, firstly, when it comes to your self-care, you need to ground yourself. So vitally, at the end of the year, it is the most important thing to take a break, go for a walk, touch the ground with your feet. So if you need to stand on some grass or on sand, just to get that grounding, because we've had a hectic, long year. And you need to actually get to that place of pulling yourself back, getting in touch with your emotions, your mind, your body. Where has it taken you? Be grateful for what it's been through, how it's got you to where you've come. If you've been sick during the year, how better to take care of yourself. So a kind of an introspection to get yourself into a happier, healthier space. Vital at this time as well.
So make sure how often do we need to ground? Do we do it every day, twice a day?
Every day for about 30 minutes.
Oh.
So even with the sun, to get that sunlight onto your body, vital. Because the minute you're not having that, you're going to start getting depressed. And then you're going to not react kindly to the people around you. So it's good to have those good grounding experiences. Listen to the birds. Not the hardy-does that make a lot of noise, but yes, those lovely birds that tweet.
Yeah.
So we're getting all that goodness, but also be very careful with the foods we eat, because it's so easy to get involved in the not so nice foods. So I say to people, the best way to know how good a food is for you is to actually feel it with your hand. If it doesn't feel good in your hand, it's not good for you. So how often have you eaten Simba chips and thought, it's hard. How's this going to digest? Because it is hard on your system. Whereas if you had a fresh potato, baked potato, it's soft, it feels good. So that's one of the important ways of actually getting in touch with the food. Also to be aware if you're preparing food, what are you putting in? Are you putting in joy, or are you putting in, oh, I have to cook again? That is going to change the energy of the food, and it's not going to taste nice. And the other tip I give people, particularly at this time, is to measure the quantity of the food you're eating. So if you're eating food, that should be the amount of food you eat.
All the food or the starch?
All the food. Your 2 hands.
That's all we're supposed to eat. So the starch, the vegetable, the
protein,
everything is even the dessert.
And the dessert. That's the size of your stomach.
Yeah.
If you eat that much, it's too much. And you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to be obese. So let's try and stick to that.
How often? 3 meals a day?
3 meals a day. So I think that's sufficient.
Is that across board? What about somebody who's got a condition?
Well, normally with diabetics, they should have a smaller amount, 6 meals a day.
So this
well,
6 times.
A little bit less, just so that you can...
Less, not more.
No, a little bit less than that.
Okay.
Because now you need to have the 6 meals. Because the spleen is secreting the insulin, which it needs to digest. Or the insulin needs to be absorbed by the food. And what causes diabetes is that the insulin is too much with insufficient food. So you need to, and hence you found in days of old, people would have breakfast, tea, lunch, tea, and supper. And so diabetes wasn't as prevalent, besides the fact that there's so much sugar added to all the food we
nowadays.
eat now.
Yeah.
So that being the one thing. The other thing I say to people is we should be eating with our hands more often.
Okay. Why?
Have you ever noticed having a sandwich, how better satisfied you feel than when you've sat with a plate of food and eaten with the fork or with the knife and fork? Because metal absorbs energy. That's why. So your hand would actually then get in touch with the food, feel the texture, feel the temperature. Often I've taken a fork full of food and burnt my tongue because I haven't felt the temperature, whereas your hand actually connects that food to your body. So as often as you can, I know it could be a bit hectic sitting in a restaurant and people would be looking at you, but at home I'm always eating with my hands.
You know, I recall at some point, I can't remember where it was, they were making fun of Africans about how we don't wear shoes and we chase chickens in our backyards, you know, and we eat food that's not exciting and processed and stuff. But now, fast forward, everybody wants to go organic. We're taking off our shoes to ground, and you realize that the olden way of life really was the correct way of life. You
Absolutely.
know? Yeah. And also just keeping with the natural diet.
Yes.
And unprocessed food.
Yeah.
How important is that?
I don't think I could stress that enough. For me, it is just the way it should be. And we're looking at things like the commercialism or what they want to sell as mass production because there's so many people. But if we got back to the farms, like now they are quite pushing in Botswana, the natural farming, we would actually have healthier people. Farming with less fertilizers and more organic. We've got cows and chickens that we could use the manure for to grow our own vegetables and actually have healthier food. It's all the body knows. The reason we are as sick as we are as society with our diabetes and hypertension and Alzheimer's and you name it, the list goes forever, is because we're not eating properly and because we're putting junk into our systems. And that comes with the medications we're taking, with the vaccines that are flying around, and it is having a negative effect on our bodies.
This is Moving Humanity Forward podcast, and we're hoping this festive season is very merry. Please listen into the rest of this conversation to see how you can do your part in taking care of your health. We'll be right back.
Kama executive e rekisa di-conference halls e na le conference e tona e leng gore e tshwara batho ba ba kana 800 people e be na le di-conference tse dingwe tse dinyenyane di le 4 mme tse di harologanang ka di-size. Dikukama executive e na le maroko a mantsi, e na le maroko a le 32. Mo maroko a 32 di executive di 16, di standard di 16, all in all is 32. Dikukama executive e tshwara batho ba bantsi ba ba tswang dikgaolong, ba ba tswang bogaborone kana batho ba bojanala. Di-price tsa rona tsa di-hotele, di-standard tsa rona ke 500 pula, di-executive tsa rona ke 1,130 pula. Re na le restaurante, re na le dining ko batho ba jelang teng, re na le bara, re na le bara e combine le restaurant. You buy your food, you stay there, o a go jela teng ko bareng kana ba tla go jela ko dining ela. Ha o batla megala ya rona ke 6540 420 box 228 Tsabong. Re mo Bogosing ward mo along the road ya main road ya rona o tswa Gaborone. Dikukama executive hotels.co.bw.
Welcome back to Moving Humanity Forward podcast. Find us on YouTube as well as LinkedIn and TikTok on Moving Humanity Forward podcast. And then on Facebook, if you type MHF podcast, you will be able to find us there. My name is Kathy Malajane, and today's guest goes by the name Dawn Green. She's talking kinesiology and just ways in which you can assist your body to do what it already does, because your body already heals itself. Now, Dawn, there's a question that's come up, and I think I want to pose it to you because, people are interested. You said when it's a positive response, your body tenses.
Yes.
And when it's a negative response, your body kind of relaxes. Does this apply to the male anatomy as well? I mean, if you think about when a man is excited, the tensing up, and when he's not so excited.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
They say the best time you can attack a man is after he's climaxed.
Okay.
He goes into a weakened state. But before that, he's quite
Positive,
active
charged
and
up.
tense, and the muscles are moving and every muscle is working.
Yeah.
So yes, it is. It
So
is
that
the same
just applies
response.
across the board.
The kinetic energy of the act.
Well, I think you've got your answer there. Let's move on, Dawn, and touch on daily aches and pains. Now, this one I take so seriously because in a day, anything can happen. And I want us to focus a lot on headaches as well. That has been something that is very common across the board. And I know I've suffered, I almost believe they were migraines at some point.
Mhm.
What I also understand is that when you have a disease, dis-ease,
Yeah.
there's not only the problem, but there's an emotional issue behind it as well. Sometimes even a root cause of that emotional issue.
Yeah.
Maybe take us there before, because you also explained there's organs responsible, and we were just talking headaches. So maybe just break that down for us.
Okay, so your whole body has reflex points which affect all the organs in your body. So you find when a kid gets up in the morning, the first thing it will do is rub its eyes. It's waking up the body because the eye is representative of all the organs in the body.
Okay.
Likewise with your ears. The whole ear has the meridians that run through it. So you are actually then, by touching your ear, rubbing your ear, giving yourself a massage.
Wow.
So to get to the headache story, where you have your headache determines what's actually happening in the body.
Okay.
So if you're looking at the frontal headache, it's normally the stomach issues. Your stomach is to do with acceptance. So if somebody gave you some information during the day that you were finding hard to accept, you're more than likely going to have a tummy ache at some stage.
Okay.
Or at least a frontal headache, which is to do with the stomach. And so you find even with kids, they tend to do the frontal headache more because their stomachs are quite volatile. They're anxious and upset. So if you have a headache that's in the front of the head, it's working with stomach stuff. So what I say to people is hold the head, connect it to the stomach, and do some deep breathing for 2 minutes.
Okay. So just deeply breathe into that area. Stomach is forehead is stomach.
Because you are bringing attention to the body. You're saying to the body, something's going on here. Let's connect it and release it.
Okay. Are we deep breathing, mouth open, closed? Does it make a difference?
No, just breathing.
Okay.
Just getting yourself centered and grounded.
So I get temple headaches.
The temple headaches is liver story.
Which means?
Liver is to do with anger. You'll find you get those headaches more when people are driving stupidly in front of you, or you're really getting, So that would be the headache with.
Okay, so this temples is the liver?
Is the liver. So what you would do is hold the side of the head, hold the liver, hold the side of the head, breathing. Just so that body is connecting.
Okay.
I like to do both sides because I often believe that the spleen and the liver work together.
Okay.
But you don't have to do.
So the liver's on the right side.
On the right hand side.
It's like the lower part of your rib cage.
Yes.
So it's still on the hard part.
It's still on the rib cage, not on the tummy. Yeah.
So you're touching there, that's your liver.
That's your
the right side.
Yeah.
And if you want to do the spleen, you're touching the left side as well.
So if you've eaten too much sugar as well, that one would tend to be a problem.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why I just do the two together.
Okay. So that is the temple. What about somebody who's...
On the top of the head is kidney stuff. So if you've been anxious and you've not been able to process the anxiety, you would get the kidney headache, which is the top of the head. I say to people, hold the top of the head and the lower back, which is then kidney, and you keep breathing just to connect those two. So within 2 minutes, it should be gone. If not 2 minutes, if it's not gone in 2 minutes, go to 5. Then you can have the painkiller if you think you need to have a painkiller. But normally that would solve that. Also to remember, before you do anything with the headaches, before you do, drink water.
Yes, because I've always known that water was, a headache was dehydration.
Yeah, more often than not, it's the dehydration that causes that.
Can it be too much hydration?
Yes, some people do drink too much water, and you actually see that in puffy skin. So where you're feeling a bit puffy, the doctor would tell you it's water retention, but more often than not, it's too much water. So the too much water would then cause the body to get rid of all the good things that the body actually needs to keep.
You're losing electrolytes.
Yeah. Okay. My advice to people is drink water when you are thirsty. More often than not, you'd find that, especially in this lovely warm weather, you're having 6 to 8 glasses of water because it is quite warm. Wintertime, you need less water. It's not as hot. So when you are thirsty, drink water. But likewise, when you feel hungry, first drink water, because more often than not, you're thirsty, not hungry. The other aspect of headaches is the one that you would get on the back, of the head,
Yeah.
which is bladder related. Bladder is also our anxiety house. So you find that we've been feeling anxious during the day. So most corporate people tend to get those because it then tends to link
The
into into the neck. And so the bladder would be lower belly button.
So under the belly button?
Under the belly button to the back of the head, holding that and breathing. Okay, so that's basically headaches. You were talking about migraines earlier. Migraines are normally caused by the emotion of feeling unfulfilled. So you find migraines tend to happen a lot in very young teenagers where they're trying to find themselves in life. So they tend to have the migraines. They say it's hormonal. I'd like to believe that they're feeling unfulfilled because they're restricted by parents and teachers. And so they can't go out and be who they want to. And they're trying to discover who they are. So that would be one. And then the other one with the migraines tends to be more amongst women. When they are doing their whole thing of putting their lives together, you find that the 20 to 30-year-olds tend to have the migraines more because they're feeling unfulfilled.
So it becomes, I get nauseous. I don't want any lighting. In fact, I really don't like bright light. I really don't like bright lighting. Smells, I get so sensitive to any sort of smell. All of that, how do you then?
Because you're feeling unfulfilled. It's almost like you're dead. So it's like you're rejecting everything, the bright lights, which is supposed to be fun, and the food is supposed to be enjoyed, the sound you're supposed to. So all of that would actually make you feel, like we're saying, literally dying because you're unfulfilled.
So what do we do for the migraine?
I normally then say to people, drink the water, stay in the darkness, let it work out, do your whole throwing up, and if it happens and stays around for 3 more days, then I would go to a doc.
So 3 days.
Yeah.
If it's more than 3 days,
then
warning bells, go get help.
Yeah, go and get help. But more often than not, they hang around for that long because it takes so long for us to actually find out why. So my advice is, if you actually then work on feeling fulfilled, so take a piece of paper and write, what would make me feel fulfilled? How can I get this fulfillment? You find that almost instantly it will leave. Because you're doing something about that.
So that's why the root cause of the issue is so important, because there is that.
It helps you to get
that. The physical symptoms.
And so we were saying the anxiety with the kidneys, the bladder, the stomach acceptance, the anger with the temple headaches. When you start to deal with those issues, then you don't get the headache is better able to leave. So there is such a definite connection between your physical body and your mental, emotional body. Very big connection. So we need to acknowledge the two. You can't treat a physical problem with just a physical solution.
And I must confess to being quite biased in the sense that I like everything that's natural. I always want to say, especially because we know our body heals itself.
Absolutely.
If there's a way that my body can heal this, why would I rather not go for that than reach for the pill or whatever? So that means I have a lot of journaling to do while I figure stuff out. But let's move on with the aches and pains, Dawn, because on a daily, we've talked headache. That one is a very, very common one. I want to talk eyes. If somebody has, I'm going to give you the example of my dad. He's got dry eyes, apparently. So what causes that?
Like I say, it's normally to do with not crying enough, so the body forgets the memory of crying. And men don't cry, so...
I mean, it's funny that... And so that came up after my mom passed away, so interesting.
He probably didn't cry. And couldn't cry. Because society puts that on you, that you shouldn't cry as a man. So those tears have now dried up. So from a place of where, a hard one, but to get him to cry and say to him, it's okay, maybe give him a hug and make him cry. So if that would help. But also that the eyes have muscles that control them. So I say to people, if you're having a problem with the eyes, There are 2 points at the back of the head there that feel like horns. I say we all little devils on some level because we have horns there, but also that moms have eyes behind their head. So on those 2 points, if you actually rubbed while looking up, looking to the side, so going in a clockwise and then going in an anti-clockwise direction for 2 minutes, that should strengthen the eye muscles and strengthen your eyes.
So this should have gone into our daily tips on a daily basis.
But
wake up
more if you're actually having problems with the eyes.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be done every day. I have a thing with the body. The body, if it receives anything 3 days consecutively, starts to disregard it. So it's important to actually just do it when necessary, so that you get full effects when it is necessary. Okay, so that being the one with the eyes.
What about things like cataracts or, short-sightedness, far-sightedness? Is there anything that kinesiology can do or assist, or that we can do for ourselves on a daily basis?
When you look at the eyes, it's actually to do with not being happy or being unhappy with what you've seen. So if you've seen, I started wearing glasses in COVID because I was really upset at the fact that everybody was just had their lives taken away from them. I wasn't happy seeing people stuck.
Yeah.
And yes, I need to get to somebody who's going to help me so I can get rid of the glasses. But also I spent a lot of time on the laptop.
On the phone and the laptop.
So from a place of where, if we are doing the cataracts, normally is to do with trying to block out. We've seen too much in life. So you find that the older people tend to do the cataracts.
Yeah.
And they can't see how life is going forward because it was so nice back then. And now we're having a hard time.
Physically you get a blockage.
Yeah, so you actually create that dullness so that you can't see. So there's always a mental emotional issue around our physical symptoms.
So in terms of eyes, is there something that you would recommend that people do, not daily, but on a regular basis, to assist with the eyes?
If you feel your eyes are feeling a bit stressed and tired, or you're not able to get blur vision, or you get those floaters, then that correction where you rub the protrusions at the back of the head and eyes rotating actually helps to reset it.
Okay,
reset them.
So eyes, let's move to ears, right?
So ears become interesting because a lot of us don't listen. We don't listen to ourselves firstly, and then we don't listen to the people around us. We're always listening with an intention to respond rather than listening to what actually is being said. So from a place of, actually you can see that with people's ears, if the ear is not curled in, or is like you see mine, since being a therapist, my ears have actually gone out because I listen more.
Yeah.
Most men have their ears curled in
because
they're listening to themselves, they're not listening to you, and so do kiddies. So you find teachers would have always done that with the child. You're naughty, listen to me when I'm talking. They actually try to help the child to listen. Okay.
So in terms of ringing ears, itchy ears, pain in the ears.
That we normally correct by taking some baby oil, which I have here, or any oil could work. You have that going on the hand, rub the hand together, open your mouth, and pop them.
Okay.
So that popping actually allows the ear to resettle.
That's it.
Yeah.
A bit of oil, rub it on your hands, open your mouth, put your hand in, sort of suctioning it, and then pop it out. That's it.
Yeah.
And that'll take care of pain, ringing,
all the uncomfortable ear. But also to remember to listen to yourself and to listen to people around you.
Yeah.
So what happens with the ear defects is normally to do with you not hearing what you want to hear, or having heard what you didn't want to hear. So if husband came in and told you he's divorcing you, same time ears go. Because you weren't waiting to hear that, you weren't wanting to hear that. Okay, so that surprise tends to set the ear off.
I've always wanted to ask this. Should we be cleaning our ears with earbuds, and if yes, how often?
Your ear is actually self-cleaning. So often you would get up and find some stuff on your pillow because at night body's moved it out. If you need to clean your ear, as in the outer ear, with the earbud, the ear canal should not be touched with an earbud. In some cases where we have almost a deafening happening, I advocate for the use of the wax candle. There's a special candle that's hollow that you can buy at Dischem and places like that you would have to have a therapist do, where they would then light the candle and suction the excess wax out. But more often than not, you don't need that. It's if you did this clearing with the oil, it should actually help. Don't put the oil in the ear. It has to be on the outside of the ear. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've actually heard or read or watched somewhere where they said, no, pour the oil into your ear and leave it. And then I looked at that and I was like, I'm scared to try
No, absolutely not.
It's
It's not necessary.
Yeah. Okay, let's come to the mouth now. Sore teeth. So there's some people who, and why do wisdom teeth hurt so much? I mean,
because it's hard to get wisdom.
So we need to pay the price. Talk to me about somebody who's got some decay, somebody who's got some plaque.
Okay, so whenever we look at the teeth, we look at decision making and how we're making decisions. So I don't know if you've noticed that a lot of the young people today are wearing braces to straighten the teeth.
Yes.
Ask these young people, how was your day? I don't know. They're not willing to commit to a decision of, yes, it was a good day, or no, it was a bad day. What would you like for supper?
Anything.
I don't know. Or anything. So it's the way that they are taking in this information that is causing the teeth to go the way they're going. When you look at decayed teeth, it's normally people who are in a place of having made bad decisions. So they would do the whole thing of decaying the tooth because they're trying to get rid of the bad decision they made.
Wow.
Okay. Plaque is also the hardening of decisions.
Okay.
So if you've got a build-up, you're actually making these real tough decisions and sticking by them. And even if they're not serving a purpose, you are holding on to them.
Wow. So how do we, what are some of the...
Interestingly enough, there's a whole hype about people doing charcoal cleaning. And I still accredit my good teeth to charcoal cleaning because when we grew up, we didn't have toothpaste. So we used the ash from the fire to clean our teeth. So it does, when you have toothache, I know that clove helps very much. It has an anesthetic feel to it. So yes,
do we
but
chew that clove? Do we grind
just
it? Or?
Put it in at the area where the
so
pain
you
is.
actually take the clove
From,
the tooth hurts.
Yeah.
Okay.
The actual spice clove. Yeah. So that clears that out.
And then, so that's for like the teeth hurting. And then in terms of care, would you recommend that I go get that ash and come wash my teeth with it?
Or even activated charcoal.
Yeah.
You
make a paste with it.
Yeah, put it on your teeth.
Wow.
Because there is a bit too much fluoride in the toothpaste, and that does have an effect on the immune system.
Yeah.
So I often use even then bicarb if I can't get ash.
Bicarbonate of soda. Okay,
yeah.
I've tried that.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing, but I don't know. We are going to run out of time. If there are any more tips that you want to give us just on a daily basis, how we can make our lives better, we cannot not talk about tummy ache because we're going to eat everything over the festive season.
Absolutely.
What would you recommend for that? And then if you have any tips for hangovers, I'm sure there are plenty of people who would love some help there. Yeah.
Okay. So for tummy aches, and if you're feeling bloated, the best thing to do is have a little tip of bicarb in some water.
Oh.
That will take out the bloatedness and make you feel a bit calmer. Okay. If you have access to mint, fresh mint, brilliant for that as well.
You just chew that or
chew mint leaves, or add it to water if you can't chew the leaf, but it's quite pleasant.
It is nice.
Ginger also helps with an upset tummy. And so that would be my basic. The other thing for me is just put hand on tummy and love your tummy. apologize for the eating of the gammon and the
the things
pork,
that you've
the
eaten.
gammon and the beef and the chicken, because you shouldn't actually eat all of them together. It isn't
we
a
try
bright,
to do
it's
just
not a
that.
bright idea. But all the same, it's festive, so we try to let go of all the what you shoulds and shouldn't do, but for whatever help you need. With alcohol, before you go to bed, before you try and pass out, drink a glass of water. I promise you will get up the next day feeling better. There will be
So
no
drink the
hangover
water before
you go to bed.
Yeah.
The other thing that does help with it is something like alkali powder. If you have a glass of that before you go to bed. If you get up in the morning not feeling nice, the activated charcoal also does help. So if you're feeling like really toxic the next morning, the activated charcoal.
So you
would
drink
help.
that, or you?
Yeah, you make a little bit in the glass and drink that.
Okay.
Okay.
So activated charcoal, not coffee. I always thought coffee was supposed to
Well,
be.
normally they do coffee with, they say with sugar, anything with sugar, but to me it's just going to throw you off balance again. I'd rather do it more natural, more basic. Then I know people do the orange juice. They sweeten the orange juice even more, and then it just throws your sugar levels off again.
I know some people who swear by a glass of whatever got you feeling there.
Bite the dog that bit you.
So I don't know about that one.
And then you just keep the cycle going. The other thing is the spleen will need a bit of help. So just to put your hand over the spleen and give it some love and apologize for all the naughtiness, and body works with you.
Yeah.
Just it will help itself.
I want to close off our conversation, Dawn, with you just sharing with the viewer what somebody needs for a session, a kinesiology session, and more so also just share a little bit about where they can find you and where you're located, because I know this is something you offer. I know it takes time as far as the actual session, but there have been quite a number of stories and even experiences for myself. I have had the opportunity to come and get a session, and I know the 2-3 weeks that followed, I kind of want to go back there. And yet you say, try and just do 1 or 2 sessions. And that's why you did today, to say, as much as we can, we want you to be able to help your own self. I don't want you guys all coming, I think you've said the definition of a good healer means the people don't keep coming back, something like that. And I think that's really great.
Well, for me, it's about, I don't want to take the crutch of your dependency from the medicines and then I become the crutch. I want you to be able to take responsibility for your own healing.
Yeah.
And that is why I say to most people, unless you're chronically ill, I will see you once. I know that once you've listened or I've facilitated you listening to your body, you're better able to actually go out and start listening to your body. So you're actually then able to heal yourself. It is easy to give somebody else the responsibility of healing your body. And that is why I say to people, rather do it once, get on and heal. If for whatever reason you feel you need other help because something else traumatic has happened in your life, yes, it's okay to come back. But more often than not, 1 session is what you need to start listening to yourself, to get yourself onto your path of healing. So, yes, you can find me. Unfortunately, I don't like to spend too much time on gadgets, so I don't do the Facebook, just a direct call or a WhatsApp call on +267 778 00547. So I do work from Khabani, the farm, but I can also make arrangements to meet people in town. So if it's a bit difficult for you to get out, can meet. I've made arrangements with C-Spa in the vicinity of Thornhill School, Extension 11. And so we could meet there if people went.
Though I'd recommend going to the farm. There's something about the fresh air, though. It's that experience of just getting out into nature. I think that also makes a big difference. How does somebody prepare for a session? What should I bring? What should I have ready? Should I eat? Should I not?
Okay. Basically, come as you are. We don't require you to take your clothes off. You may need to take your shoes off because I'd need to do some movements on the feet. But come as you are, having eaten breakfast or lunch, whatever time you're coming to me. I need an hour and a half of your time. We more often than not have more to talk about, but that's also okay because sometimes people just need to get stuff off them.
Yeah.
I don't stress about that.
Yeah, and I think also try and make sure you're free afterwards, because the last thing you want to do is have a session, you're feeling all calm, and then
Back
jump
straight into
yeah.
the
So I
madness
think
of
I
life.
know I did that, and I
Okay.
know I don't want to do that, so I wouldn't advise you to do that.
Okay.
I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on before we close our conversation.
Well, I feel there is a lot more we could do with self-help. So I think more importantly is just to be able to give yourself that hug and love yourself for who you are. Be grateful that you've done what you've done in your life. Go back to that 6-year-old, 7-year-old that survived an accident and be grateful that you've survived because that person brought you to where you are now. So from a place of don't ever be afraid to pat yourself on the back, give yourself that hug, and know that you're doing a terrific job with this thing called life, because this thing called life is marvelous and strange, and we're all in it together.
And that's how we close off this episode of Moving Humanity Forward podcast. My name is Kathy Malajani. We'll see you next week.